You're just gonna be on camera.
Hey, what's up?
Here,
Is this replicate? Am I replicating the? Am I replicating the? Oh my! Wait, hang on. What's up? My nose isn't running all over the place, but hey, internet, we're reviewing a movie right now.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm coming! My boots aren't laced! Oh my god, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
So, The Blair Witch Project is a film from 1999, turn of the century, guys, and it is created, written by, directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. It stars Heather Donahue and Michael C. Williams and Joshua Leonard as themselves, essentially, three college kids who go into the woods of the Black Hills woods of Burkittsville, Maryland, to make a documentary about local legend, the Blair Witch.
A spook legend.
A spook legend. And things get a little crazy. It is not the first found footage film ever, but is the first
breakthrough.
It is the first breakout found footage movie ever, and this is a movie that the horror genre without it would be very different. It is definitely a cultural significance, and so we're just gonna dive right in. We're going fucking full on into Blair Witch, man.
Yeah, we both don't have to act like this was our first time seeing it. I mean,
No,
we've
we don't,
seen this
absolutely
plenty.
not.
This is a classic, for Christ's sake.
Oh,
I saw this
absolutely.
for the first time when I was like 6.
I've seen this movie
I
dozens
almost
of
shit
times.
myself.
Dozens of times I've seen this film, and it for me it always holds up.
It was just as scary when I saw it when I was 6 as it is now. It's just and it's even
I agree.
more, I'd say, now, because it's more unsettling, because now I know why it's so spooky.
I completely agree, and like there's a lot about this movie that, and I feel that the best word to describe this film as a whole is just dread, because not a whole lot happens in this movie. Not a whole lot happens in this movie.
No, it doesn't. But that's the point. That's why it's so
But
good.
there's a lot of people who view that as a negative. This is a very polarizing film, as we discussed, and you have either people who loved it or hated it, and the people who hated it often use that as their excuse, as, oh well, nothing really happened, it's boring. And I mean, I guess you can say that, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind that this is a film masquerading as real life, and it does a pretty goddamn good job at imitating real life and seeming incredibly realistic, and that's because nothing particularly
climax, plot, everything.
Right, nothing
like,
you'd
kinda
expect
like,
to see in a big budget film is in this movie.
Exactly.
It's just three kids lost in the woods, and something supernatural may or may not be happening.
That's why it makes it real. That's why it's good.
Exactly, and also something I really want to discuss is this movie is the first to ever really use the internet in its marketing. And
I know where you're going with this, I think.
well, viral marketing is like, it's,
If I'm correct, you can correct me, but if I'm right, I believe that leading up to this was that was 99 was the starting point of the internet. Really, that was when the internet started getting...
I don't know if it was 99, but it was in that 90s, the era of the 90s.
Well, I'm just saying, like, 99, the internet is still primitive, I know, compared to what it is today.
Right, but they have, like, there's still
Didn't
some...
they have a site? It was like a
yeah,
site, yeah, it
there's
was like Blair Witch or something.
The entire backstory of this movie, all the viral marketing, was all online, and they had a lot of, these web pages that span through several websites that just kind of went into the lore of the Blair Witch and delved into all that, like, backstory. That's really, really cool if you look into it, and
No, I think
it adds a whole other layer to this movie that nothing ever had done before, and so it's really cool to see, like, this movie use the technology of its time to really, like, revolutionize itself.
Where do I start? I genuinely think this is a classic horror movie.
It
Not
is.
in terms of classic of as in Bride of Frankenstein.
No, but it's
or
it
Dracula.
is absolutely a cultural.
No, it's a
significance.
landmark. That's a good
Yes.
word for it. It's a landmark horror movie.
That is
It is a landmark horror movie. It broke ground. It didn't. I don't know. Breaking ground.
It did kind of, because I mean the only other.
It's not the first found footage.
No, but it is the most well known.
But it's the one that got it right into the.
brought it to the forefront.
The Sex Pistols weren't the first punk rock band, but after they blew up and everything, everyone knew. Oh, look at this! Ooh,
Right,
punk rock.
it showed
That's
that-
what this was for found footage horror movies.
Exactly, and it showed that horror could be done on a very small scale with a very low budget and make millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. $248.6 million this movie made on a $60,000 budget.
It's a
which
hell of
is
a return,
unreal.
kids.
It's crazy, and that's like this. this whole movie is just so revolutionary in so many different levels, and it's really, really, really crazy to watch, and just to, and it sucks that, like, in our time period, we can't put ourselves in the shoes of people who grew up, like, learning about this movie.
Yes, I know.
And like people who, you know, grew up in the 90s, like, with the internet, knowing, like, looking, like, researching the Blair Witch Project and all that. Cause, like, we're from the 90s, but we're too young to have
No,
done,
yeah,
like,
that's
all
why
that
we don't.
shit.
We're not '90s kids. We're
Exactly.
not. We're born in 93, 94.
94, yeah.
Come on.
But it does suck on one hand, and it sucks to, like, never really be able to truly experience what the hype behind this movie was like. But at the same time, like, it still is fully capable of passing stuff off as real. And I mean, this is a movie that tried to market itself as this really happened. This is genuinely just this footage that they discovered in the woods of these 3 campers who went missing, and that's so fucking cool.
And it captured the we're straying from lights here a little bit, but it captured it had such a span of audience that it captured. It didn't have like a select audience that it just scared, you know.
No,
this was a genuinely frightening. It wasn't something that like you know, like I know like a lot of old timers and stuff who grew up in the days of Halloween and stuff like that, and that will see like a Saw movie or something and say that it's garbage and stuff like that. There's a lot of division in the genre like that.
No, the Blair Witch Project is something that, you know.
No, my dad saw this in theaters when it came out in '99. I remember, and he says to this day he jumped into his friend's arms in the theater. It was fucking terrifying. That's just what it was.
One of the craziest horror films ever. Even though there are some people, like I said, there are people who go, "Oh, well, nothing happens," but that's what makes it scarier. Is you're there with these 3 people who are just lost and scared and confused, and it's that in itself is just one of the scariest things about this movie. Is just, you ever been lost in the woods, guys? You ever been just lost and you have no idea where the fuck you're going and what you're doing, and shit just keeps getting weirder and weirder? There's weird stick people.
If the answer to any of these questions is no, do not say this movie isn't scary. What was that?
Did you see that?
No. What was it?
I saw something, like, go by. It's like a little, like, cloud of something. It looked like a mole or a cloud of dust or something. I don't know. Very unsettling. Anyway,
well, this just got spooky.
For me, my biggest like my biggest like of this movie is the fact that for me, like, the best thing about this movie is how real it feels. None of them feel like they're acting at any point at all throughout the entire duration of this film. It just feels like you're watching the last days of 3 people who are about to die. And that's
technically what it is.
I mean, yeah. But it's totally fucking nuts. Also, the level of creativity that went into the actual filmmaking process of this movie is fucking cool, because essentially the way this film was made, for those of you who don't know, is Eduardo Sanchez and Dan Merrick handed these 3 kids a loose script and gave them a map, a loose script, a compass, and just kind of dropped them off in the woods and said, "Hey, go film. Here's where you have to go. Here's what you have to film. Go nuts." And then they just left them to wander in the woods for a couple days. What these 3 actors didn't know is that the crew and the directors were out in the woods with them, and they would fuck with them at night. So all the sounds you're hearing, all the things hitting the tent that you're seeing, that's the film crew fucking with them, and they don't know. So the fear you're seeing in the movie is completely genuine. And that is absolutely revolutionary. This movie,
exactly,
it's iconic. The whole film is just really, really, there's nothing else truly like it.
So we've established that we like this movie, right?
Yes, we have.
All right. So dislikes. Do we have any?
I honestly don't have any dislikes. I think that I'll put this as, for me, this isn't a dislike, but I can see how people would dislike it. And I would say that if you are a person who needs, you know,
things running around on the ground.
You saw that too, right?
What the fuck is that?
What?
Hang on, don't. What is that? What is that crawling? What the fuck is that? Do you see that? What the fuck is that?
Fuck? Is that a day long way?
That is too fucking big to be a dad. What the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that? So, for me, this isn't a dislike, but for, you know, I can understand how this would be a dislike for some people, and that is that this movie can be viewed as boring. For me, it is not. But I can definitely see why some people think it is.
Yes, no, I agree.
Because for the first, you know, 40 minutes to an hour of this film, not much is happening. They're just wandering around in the woods and, you know, videotaping stick people and rocks and shit. Which, you know, for some people is not scary, but if you can put yourself in their shoes and experience the actual just, like, dread and, like, the terror of being lost in the woods with no map and no one around for miles, that's horrifying. And the idea of the geometry of the fucking woods changing on them and then going
that's what's terrifying.
going straight forever, like going straight all day and ending up in the exact same spot you left in. That's terror. That is horrifying.
Like Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters is a very good example.
Finding the exit to the hospital, opening it up, and just
just
revealing
being a
another
hallway.
corridor.
Exactly. That's scary as fuck. But
Warping reality like that so you have no sense of it is...
Yes, definitely. Like I said, though, I don't view that as a negative particularly. I just think this is a slow burn. What? You seeing now?
I think I saw that little thing you were just talking about.
Was it like gray?
It was like a little rat or a mole or something.
Yeah, okay. I saw it. Not crazy then.
No, it was like this is getting weird.
Okay, this is getting a little weird, so we're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else you had to say?
No.
Dislike-wise?
No.
No, nothing?
I'm sold with dislikes.
Oh yeah, so like I said, that's pretty much where I'm at with this movie. I think it's very, very well done. Very good. This review is kind of all over the place, but that's because we're outside and distracted by the numerous...
We tried to make it creative.
We tried to be creative. We failed. Yeah, guys, I'm going to declare Blair Witch Project to not be a genre masterpiece, I don't think, but definitely to be a must-see. I feel like that it's iconic and it's enough of a cultural...
Actually,
I feel like it's culturally important enough for everybody to have to see at least, you know, at least once in their life. Everybody should see it.
I think it's a must-see. I think it borders on genre masterpiece just for the sake of being revolutionary.
But I feel that the fact that it's not for, you know, everybody, and nothing is for everybody, I understand, but like the fact that it is so polarizing, I feel... Was there a mosquito in there?
Yep.
Thanks.
Go on.
I feel like the fact that it is so polarizing is definitely, you know, probably something that I would feel would detract from it for some people, and I feel that the fact that we can't be in that mindset of, like, you know, the mindset for this movie that people were for it in the 90s. Was that English? I don't know.
We understood what you were saying.
Yeah. So I think that definitely detracts from it a bit, but overall, like, the gist of it is that this movie is really, really, really good, and it's you know, I don't know where where the horror industry would be without it at this point. We wouldn't have found footage, which is both a blessing and a curse.
We wouldn't have Paranormal Activity.
Well, it's a blessing and a curse, like I said.
Yeah, we can really
it really depends on your views on it. But the Blair Witch Project, I mean, regardless of your thoughts on it, you can't deny that it is genuinely, like, a milestone in horror and just cinema as a whole. I mean, yeah, definitely check it out if you're, you know, if you haven't seen it, or if you have, because...
If you haven't seen it by this time, it's 2016. Come on, what are you doing?
It's almost 20 years, guys.
Let's go.
There's a new one coming out. You have to see the first one. The ending to this movie is one of the most chilling things.
Unsettling, fucked up, weird.
Okay. Yeah, the ending to this movie is really genuinely unsettling and really creepy, and just one of the most, like...
This movie is very uncomfortable, which is exactly what we're feeling being out here right now. So...
Alright, we're gonna go. Bye, guys. Like, comment, subscribe.